Hey guys, welcome back. Great to have you here today. In today's video, we're going to talk about probably the most important piece of golf, which is making good solid contact, especially when we're talking about hitting any shot off the ground. Getting that ground and ball contact happening at the same time so we can really compress the golf ball. Now the neat part about this video is I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to talk about a couple of mental tricks where you don't have to worry about changing your technique at all. That's going to help you out with this. And then we're also going to get into the technique side so that we can really focus on what's causing me to hit the ball or the ground behind the ball. Let's start with the technique, and then we'll go with a couple of those mental tricks here at the end. So let's imagine I'm setting up this golf ball. If I'm hitting behind the ball, or when I have inconsistent contact, most of the time what's happening is I'm kind of falling back to the right. I'm tending to cast the club, and I'm hitting the ground behind the ball. I'm chunking the shot, and then the ball just kind of dribbles up a few feet, or I could even chunk and almost miss the ball. And then if I miss the ground, then I'm actually coming up and kind of hitting the ball thin because my club's actually moving up as it's hitting the ball. Both of those are going to be really tough to get consistent if we're doing that type of a motion. We'd have to time up that perfect flip of the golf club to get that ground and ball contact at the same time. Very difficult to do. We could also be coming in pretty steep and chopping down into the ball, where this way I'm hitting behind the ball, I'm hitting on top of the ball, and I'm very inconsistent there too. That's very common with an over-the-top move. Club starts coming in too steep. Right shoulder's coming down over top of the ball. So those are all common things. Now in today's video, we're going to talk about kind of how to fix all of that, or the overall idea of how that's going to work perfectly. So whenever we are coming over the top, or whenever we're not getting to the left side, we tend to not have enough forward shaft lean. I got a great training aid here. And what's happening with both of these scenarios, so if I'm coming over the top steep, or I'm falling back to the right, in both cases, I'm going to have to kind of flip the club. If I'm coming in steep in my very over-the-top swing, I'm going to stand up and flip the club so that I kind of shallow out that swing and don't slam the club into the ground. If I'm falling back to the right, I'm going to have to flip the club just to be able to reach the ball. So this training aid is going to help with both of those. This is called an impact snap. You don't have to have this training aid, but man, it makes it a lot easier to learn this type of motion. So we're going to grab this with our thumbs kind of working down the top of the grip, just like you would with a normal club. You'll see that the pad, the meaty part of my hand here, is at the bottom of this grip on top of it. So just like I would hold a normal club, even though it's a square grip, the same idea here. Now, as I go to the top, I'm going to go ahead and let this club start to set, increasing that set as I'm coming down. And you'll notice there's a yellow ball on the other end of this. As I come through impact, or as I come into my right thigh, notice how my left hand still has a good angle in it. Notice how my hand is starting to turn down this way. So if I have a cupped wrist, if I'm looking like this, I'm wide open with the face. I'm not going to be able to square that face up. So what we have to do is we have to turn that wrist down, and then as we release that club, this ball on this impact snap trainer is going to hit right into the back of my forearm. So you see right there on the back of my forearm, that should smack into that. So again, let's go over this. I'm going to come down, increasing my wrist set. As I'm coming into contact and into the release, not until I get in front is that ball going to hit my hand. So if I do this back here, I'm rolling the club too early. I want to have forward shaft lean, then it's going to hit the back of my forearm as I'm at my straight line release. So if you remember the Top Speed Golf system, you know that's one of the 5 keys. We got to get this club releasing out in front at about a 45-degree angle in front of that golf ball. So I'm going to really feel like that pairs up with when this yellow ball hits the back of my forearm. So here I have a lot of lag. This is well off my forearm, big sharp angle of the wrist. As I'm coming through, it's hitting it up there. Now you'll notice my hips have to keep on moving. If I stop my hips, if I'm falling back and I stop my hips, I'm really going to have a hard time getting up there. I need to keep my hips rotating through the shot so that I can let that happen at the right time. So my hips, my shoulders, my forearms, everything's coming to that straight line release, 45 out in front. So a great training aid with this. Now if we take this exact same motion and we take that over to an iron, now we're going to have a lot of lag coming in with a good angle of lag and then releasing that out in front. So that's going to keep us from falling back, where naturally if we have a lot of this lag, we're going to want to come forward, get our weight to the left and release out in front. And if we're coming in steep, notice how this makes us shallow out the club. So if I'm looking from this angle, I'm going to go ahead and have this club shallowing out. My left wrist is nice and flat, and then I'm coming in from here and releasing it. So that would look something like this. If I grab my club and swing this way, I'm shallowing out that club, then releasing it out in front. So that's the technique side of it. Really work on getting that club shallow, lots of forward shaft lean, and then keeping the hips moving to get everything coming down and through on the front of the ball. When I get the result from this, I'm gonna have my club coming down, and I'm gonna visualize like my club is hitting the ground, pinching the turf at the same time that I'm hitting the ground. That's what I'm gonna feel. And if I hit a perfect shot, I'm gonna have a nice, thin, long divot this square with my target. That's the technique side, but what are some mental tricks? You know, let's say that we're doing the technique, we understand it, but our mind just isn't being able to picture it correctly. Well, I got a couple of pretty cool devices. You can use a scorecard or just a piece of paper. And all I want you to do is to place this piece of paper, depending on how long the grass is. If the grass is fairly short, just about 2 or 3 inches behind your golf ball. Now I should be able to come down, give myself a little bit more room there, that way I can clear that paper and still come down and make contact. I should be able to clear that piece of paper and still make contact with the ball. So it's about a club head width, maybe a little bit more than that. So now I'm gonna first move my golf ball out of the way, and I'm just gonna brush the grass in front of this piece of paper. With that feedback there, I get the feeling that if I start to flip, I'm gonna hit that right away. So naturally, I'm gonna keep my hips moving. I'm gonna keep my wrist angled forward, just so I won't hit that piece of paper. I'll do this, you know, a good 4 or 5 times. You can see that I started my divot up here, but I didn't hit the paper at all. Once you're comfortable with that, again, you can use a scorecard, whatever you want to use. I'm going to put my golf ball there, and again, around 4 inches, somewhere around in there. If the grass is tall and that paper's sitting up off the ground quite a bit, you're going to have to scoot it back a little bit more. If the grass is really thin, like if you're hitting off a putting green, for example, you could have it a little closer to the ball. So you just find a zone to where you feel like gives you plenty of room to swing over top of the paper. It's more of a visual aid, a visual cue to naturally get you more to the left. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit this golf ball without clipping the paper. There we go. So we saw the paper moved a little bit just because my club, the wind from my club, but if I hit the paper, it's gonna look a lot different. So this time I'm gonna flip and I'm gonna hit that paper first, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. There we go. So the paper shoots up, immediate feedback. You're not gonna want that to happen. You end up with kind of a crumpled up mess here. So that's the first drill. Very easy. You'd be surprised. You put a piece of paper down there, put a scorecard down there, and automatically you're going to start swinging farther in front without even really having to think about the technique too much. Now the next one is a great training device. Really simple, and this is great for winter practice too. It's called the flat ball, and all it is a piece of plastic. It's very durable. Same shape as a golf ball, it's just flat. What I can do is I can put this on my little practice mat at home. Even if you have one of those little 2 foot by 1 foot practice mats, one thing that I recommend doing if you're going to practice indoors in the winter is always have some kind of target, something on the ground that's going to give you some feedback. I don't ever want to make dry swings into the air over and over and over again, because I can really do some weird things with my swing and I won't get the feedback of making contact with the ball. So here, I'm going to put that ball on the ground. If I swing over top of the ball, then it's either going to pop up or kind of squirt off like that to the right. So I don't want that to happen. That means that I basically swung down and I hit on top. My club and my ball met at the same time in the front of it, and it just flips like that. If I hit behind the ball, if I chunk it, then my club is going to tend to bounce right over that, especially with a mat, because the mat tends to have the club bounce a little bit. Then I'm gonna kind of hit that mat behind it and bounce right over this flat ball. If I do this correctly, I'm going to clip the ground and the ball at the same time. And you can hear it had a nice like swooshing sound. It's going to take off. It's not very dangerous. It doesn't take off all that speed, all that fast or hard, so you can put just anything to stop it right in front of you, and you're going to be able to practice that ground contact time and time again, even if you're on your living room. That way when you go back out to the course, you've really ingrained the perfect time of hitting the ground. So if we put these keys together, keep those hips moving, get that forward shaft lean, and then give those visual cues to help you improve faster, you're going to make some great contact. All right, guys, best of luck. See y'all soon. All right, guys, hope y'all really enjoyed this video. If you did, I got an awesome bonus for you. We all want lots of lag in our golf swing. It's so crucial to have tons of lag to be able to get that high club head speed and to be able to drive it past your friends. I'm going to play a preview from one of my most important golf lag videos. If you're on a desktop device, you can go ahead and click the link that pops up on your screen. If you're on a phone or a tablet, you go ahead and click the iCard, and you're going to get instant access to that video. Plus, you're going to get instant access to 5 videos from our Top Speed Golf system. Good luck to you guys. Go out there and rip the ball. Hi guys, and welcome back. I'm Clay Ballard, and in today's video we're going to talk about one of the absolute worst drills for creating lag. It's a very common drill that I see, and in this drill what we're going to do is we're going to set the wrist very early to create an angle of lag, and then we're going to try to hold this throughout the swing. It's one of the worst things that you can do to build lag. I'm going to talk about the science behind why this is the case, and I'm also going to give you a great drill to help you improve your lag, all in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. If I do it this way versus holding that position, exact same thing happens when we're building the lag in the golf swing. So what we want to do is throughout the swing, I want to have a very low and wide takeaway. So I'm not going to set my wrist early at all. If you look at a lot of the top players, you look at Adam Scott, very wide takeaway, not very much wrist set at all. You look at Rory McIlroy, look at Tiger Woods. All these players are using a wide takeaway and not getting very much wrist set, so that later in the swing, as we start down, we can increase this wrist set, and we're really only going to max out this angle of lag for a split second in the downswing. Okay, so a three-step drill here. Now, as we get started with this, I want to remind you that the fulcrum in this golf club for getting a massive amount of lag is right at the end of the golf club. This is where I want my hinge point to be.